too bad for me not to press you, yeah. Young fly nigga, I don't follow all these rules, yeah. Bitch, I'm making tunes, I ain't missing, I won't lose. Let's go to an island where the water around is blue, blue, blue. I got two bad bitches in the coop, coop, coop. 42 in the bottle, glasses on full too. Ain't no games, I ain't playing, I want you, yeah. Take a trip, let's go shopping, I got blues, yeah. We got options you could choose. Yeah, you want it, I can buy it, ain't no rules, yeah. I'm just saying, let me help you upgrade you, yeah. Fuck that nigga, he don't care about you, yeah. Girl, move on. He can't treat you like I do, my money too long. I got homies for your friends and we can group on. We are early, hit our shot like Curry. Bitch, I wanna shoot, shoot, shoot like hoops while I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want, it ain't nothing but a loop. Don't listen to friends, they don't know what's best for you, yeah. I want you, yeah, that
Hello everyone. This is Omar from the Third Rail. I hope everybody's doing fine. Happy Saturday. Happy belated Thanksgiving to everyone who's listening. We have a small show today. I know Saturday, a lot of people are off, but I'm going to do commentary on some video that are very educational, not gossip, not Hassan and his uncle of the Young Turks, none of that garbage stuff that they do. Okay, the mic is working. So we're going to go over a couple of things. We're going to watch a panel of Piers Morgan with Norman Finkelstein. Then we're going to watch our brother Loki, who's a beautiful guy. He's a beautiful heart. He's a rapper from England who's an activist who comes with the receipts. We're just going to watch his video. He's going to show us how Donald Trump is owned by the Zionist lobby, and he has put everybody in his cabinet. They're all Zionists. Instead of putting America first, he has put America last and Israel first. I don't know why they do that, why our politicians do things like that. It's unbelievable that did happen. So you guys are having, I was supposed to be watching some college football. I said, let me take the day off. I'm going to watch the NFL tomorrow. So stay with me here, watch, comment, share. If you want to be educated on stuff that are going around you and you want a fair-minded, unbiased commentary, come to Omar. I will never lie to you. I'm pro-Palestinian because the reason I'm pro-Palestinian, not for the sake of being pro-Palestinian, it is for the sake of justice. If there was injustice to other people, I would be on their side right away. We want justice for everyone. We cannot just justice for some. No justice for some. No justice for all and injustice for some. This is what's so heartbreaking in the United States. You see these liberal politicians, especially our cousins, the Jews who are Jewish politicians, who are progressive on everything. When it comes to Palestine, the Zionism button in their head gets activated, and they start talking foolish, and they start to degrade the Palestinian, and they start putting pressure on other politicians to carry water for the Zionist criminal behavior that's going on in Gaza. So we're gonna start with our brother Loki. Loki, I discovered him on. He was a rapper. He's an English rapper. He's half Arab and half English. He's half Iraqi, and I think he's half. Hello, everyone. Hello, brothers and sisters. And he's half Iraqi. But I love this guy. This guy is a good brother. Wait, let me see first. I don't want. Okay, this is it. Okay.
Has assembled the most pro-Israel cabinet in the history of the United States. Okay. I've investigated his funders. It's not looking. Advocating for Israel.
Hold on.
To say, we're starting the clock. You've got a week. You've got...
Wait a minute. What happened? Yeah, hold on, guys. Hold on. I always do this, right? Okay, we're going to start with Loki. Loki is going to break you down. Everybody that's associated with Donald Trump, from his Secretary of Defense, from all the people, from his ambassadors, they're all Zionists. They're all Zionists. Nobody's there. Nobody's in America first. Okay, let's go. Let's go, brother Loki. All right. What happened? Okay. Come on, I just had this guy. Hold on. What did I press here? Did I press the mute button? Okay, that's good. Hold on, guys. You know, this always happened to Omar, your brother here. Okay, let's start again. Okay. Okay, hold on. Anyway, low-key, he's going to give us the breakdown on what's, you know, we all voted for Donald Trump. We wanted change and things of that nature. We wanted a different, we wanted corporate media to get out of our lives. We wanted corporate America to take its, to stay in line like everybody else, you know, instead of staying on the front line, in the front all the time and benefiting from government tax cuts and things of that nature. Well, we're not. But what tonight's to be is Donald Trump is doing the same thing he did on the first, what do you call it? On his first, okay? Let's see if I get the voice. If not, I'm going to knock this out, right? Okay, let me see. Okay. 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 Let me see. Okay, let me go somebody else there. What happened, man? You think I pressed mute here or something? Hold on. Hold on, guys. Hold on, please. Don't go no place, okay? Let me see what's going on with this, man. This is shameful. I've been setting this up for hours. I'm the only guy who doesn't study. I don't study. I don't do no... Okay. I want to see this. Why? Okay. Hold on. Okay. Add. Okay, the brother here. You need a psychiatrist. No, I don't. What happened to his thing?
Gaza is no more. Gaza has been pulverized, it's been obliterated, and that was the Israeli goal.
What happens to these people?
Well, Gazan civilians today have an opportunity after Hamas
No, that's not my
that has
question.
subjugated them
No, you can't.
to rebuild their
Fine,
society.
that wasn't my question.
If I need psychoanalysis, I wouldn't go to a representative of a lunatic state.
You have to understand where Norman Finkelstein is in his head, okay? First of all, he doesn't believe in the existence of the State of Israel. So it's very difficult arguing somebody that doesn't believe he should exist at all. We left into
Your imagination,
Excuse me. Keep your
It's your
distance, please.
imagination. The
about
Nazis
knock
needed
out.
the cover of a war
Okay.
in order to carry out the final solution.
Everything this man talks
Okay,
about
you made your point.
is a blood
You made your point.
libel.
I want
Blood
to.
libel.
And he's
Okay,
having his
everything's a
5
blood
minutes in the
libel.
sun.
Okay.
Because today it's trendy
All right.
to hate Israel and hate Jews.
What's the short answer?
My
He
answer
doesn't have short answers.
that's correct.
Let me give you, first of all, Norman Finkelstein there is the son of a Holocaust survivors. His grandparents were murdered or killed during the Holocaust. The other idiot there, the evil witch that they bring in, she was born in, her father's from Spain and her from Morocco. She used to be the deputy mayor of Jerusalem. She's the one who did the interview a while back when she said that there is no Christians in Gaza. And they told her, yeah, she didn't even know there was no, they said, yeah, remember when they bombed the church and killed those people, the Christians? She doesn't even know. She's there just to run cover, and you're going to see how Zionists operate during debates. Their whole idea is to distract. Hey, over here, look at that, look at this, look at this, look at this. That's what they do because they have no facts. The facts are not on their side. History is not on their side. Nothing is on their side. All right, let's watch Piers Morgan with his hypocrisy.
Israel's war on Hezbollah is over for now. The ceasefire ends almost 14 months of fighting and 2 months of a direct and deadly assault by Israel inside Lebanon. President Biden and the US administration pushed to get the deal done before Thanksgiving, and no doubt this is the first good news from the Middle East in a long time. But 170 miles to the south, there's very little to feel grateful about. Israel's war on Hamas continues unabated, and the IDF's conduct is facing intensifying scrutiny. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and sacked Defense Minister Yoav Gallant face ICC arrest warrants for war crimes. Reports by the New York Times and others accuse the IDF of habitually using captured Gazans as human shields. President Trump has assembled a stridently pro-Israel cabinet with little patience for his critics. Many supporters of the Palestinian cause fear that life beyond the war holds precious little cause for optimism, and that the very concept of a two-state solution may now be dead. To debate this, I'm joined in the studio by two of the strongest voices on this conflict, both with very opposite positions. Fleur Hassan is the Israel Special Envoy.
She has an Arabic last name. I don't know how.
Trade and Innovation, as well as the former Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem. Norman Finkelstein is a political scientist and pro-Palestine activist, author of the new book, Gaza's Gravediggers, an inquiry into corruption in high places. Well, welcome to both of you. I've never met either of you. I've interviewed you both several times, but it's great to meet you both in person. And I appreciate you prepared to do this. A lot of people in this war period have not wanted to debate with people, especially on the other side. So I appreciate that. Norman, you've got a new book out, and I'll come to that in more detail as we go on. But just talking about where we are right now, we've got this ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. Mm-hmm. There is no ceasefire yet with Hamas. But where do you think this war now is?
Well, with all due respect, I have to disagree with your characterization of where it began and where it now is. In my opinion, speaking on the basis of what Israeli leaders themselves said after October 7th, this isn't a war against Hamas. This is a war against Gaza. In fact, it's not a war at all. It's a genocide.
Exactly.
And in the course of that genocide, we could say, as of now, the best estimates are there are about 42 million tons of rubble in Gaza. It would take about 10 to 15 years to clear out the rubble.
Unbelievable.
And even if the rubble were cleared out, there are no prospects for rebuilding Gaza, because Israel will claim that any cement that enters Gaza will be used to build tunnels. And so they'll bar cement, as they did after Operation Cast Lead in 2008-9. So where we are now, I would say Gaza is no more. Gaza has been pulverized. It's been.
You have to listen to this guy. This guy he's slow talker, but he's honest. He's not a dishonest broker. When you see that witch, you're going to see how dishonest Zionists are. Zionists are the biggest liar in the world, and we discovered that. That's why I have a different view of what happened in World War II. I don't want to say it. They're going to call me a denier. But if you're lying about things with a camera and phones these days, how can I believe you when you tell me what happened 70, 80 years ago? Right.
Obliterated. And that was the Israeli goal from October 7th. As you recall, for sure, the statements that immediately came out after October 7th spoke about Amalek, spoke about there not being any civilians in Gaza. The intention was to once and for all liquidate, solve the Gaza question. Yep. And in my opinion, they have succeeded in that regard. And the prospects for the people of Gaza, my guess is, and it's pure speculation here, by hook or by crook, they're going to find a way to leave, because there is nothing that remains. The estimate is about 60 to 70% of Gaza's infrastructure has been destroyed. The hospitals were targeted, the universities were targeted, obviously homes were targeted. So there is nothing left. And that was the intention. The Gaza Hamas aspect was pretty much a sideshow. Yep. So, for example, if you look at the statistics from the Israeli
opportunity
government,
for the Israeli government.
Less than one Israeli soldier has been killed each day in Gaza.
But
that's not a war.
When you say it's a sideshow, I'm going to come to Fleur for a proper response to that. Say a sideshow.
Is the word.
You imply that Israel were going to do this anyway, but they hadn't done this, and everything that they have done, they would say, was a direct response to what was a monstrous act of terrorism. I mean.
So you see how he describes October 7th, a monstrous event. What's the monstrous? 800 people died. 1,152 people died on October 7th. The majority were killed by the IDF. They were liquidated. They were burned to death by Hellfire missiles. This is the problem, that everybody knows that, but nobody wants to say the truth. That's why you never ever watch corporate media, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, all that shit. Spit in their faces, all of them. Don't. I rather get my my news from Alex Jones, who's crazy, than get it from Jake Tapper or Dana Dash or Rachel Maddow or all those people. Those people are just robots. They just read whatever they tell them to read. And they know what's going on in Gaza. They know what's happening. And they know how people are getting killed, children and women every day. Yet we haven't seen one video on the on MSNBC. You understand? Instead of, oh, Trump is the next Hitler. Trump is the next fascist. Trump is going to destroy the Constitution. Now they're all meeting with him. They're all friends. What happened? Good. Get upset, man. Good.
1,200 people were killed.
Yeah,
nearly 7,000 people were wounded. It's one of the worst.
There's no
attacks in modern
7,000
times.
wounded.
You know, and as you know, we've debated this many times, but I have always supported Israel's right to defend itself. In fact, I've
defend itself from what? Israel is not defending itself. Israel is the aggressor. They are occupying land. You cannot go and take a person's house, and if he fights back, the neighbors will say, well, you know, Omar has the right to defend himself. We know he's a thief. He's living in these people's homes. He's destroying their life. He's saying what they could eat, what they could drink, how much food to come in their house. But if one of them try to punch back at Omar, then Omar has the right to defend himself. How could a person in an ongoing 56-year crime since 1967 defend himself? Israel has no right to defend itself. Under international law, it is the aggressor. The Palestinians and Hamas and all these other organizations that they call terrorists have every right under international law to fight and kill and maim whatever they can. The Jews bombed the King David Hotel in the 1930s. That was the first time we ever saw terrorism in the Middle East, when they killed 76 British soldiers and officials. So why did they do that then? You understand? Go ahead.
always believed they had a duty to, given the scale of what happened with 3,000 people coming over a border and just murdering anyone who can get their hands on. It's, to me, always been a case of what is a proportionate response, what is acceptable. I personally feel it has gone way too far. And for the reasons that you state, I'll come to you, Fleur.
I'm having a moral quandary if it's a genocide or not.
I don't know what.
There goes the witch. The witch
so let me bring you in.
From the west.
Let me pick up on that point first, and
She's
you can
the
get
witch.
into the rest
She's
of
the
what
witch.
said. But
there you go.
Gaza's just been flattened. I mean, it is. I know people who've been there who just say it is an utter devastation. What happens after this war? I mean, assuming that it ends sooner rather than later.
You should have said that
We've
before.
seen Israel now
Pears,
end the war with Hezbollah.
Instead of telling everybody to condemn October 7th.
But what happens? Gaza's done, isn't it? I mean, what happens to these people?
Every guest that came since a whole year, whoever comes to his show, do you condemn October 7th? Now he's telling us that Gaza is destroyed after 1 year of silence and complicity by the media.
Well, no, I actually think they have an incredible opportunity, because in 2005, when Israel left Gaza, in order to give the Palestinian leadership a chance to create maybe the pilot of a Palestinian state in beautiful Mediterranean coastline, they could have turned it into Dubai or Singapore, but instead...
They're going to turn it into Dubai or Singapore. Chocolate was outlawed from going into Gaza. A lot of people don't know that. Americans, open your eyes. From 2005 to until now, on certain time and points, that the Israeli government did not allow chocolate candy to go into Gaza, or diapers sometimes, or concrete. You see those concretes they built? It's all from the tunnels from Egypt. Food. They had a diet. Imagine a people who said they survived the Holocaust. You just survived the Holocaust, right? So you are traumatized. What you said, what happened in Germany, your grandparents were died and killed. So you go to occupy another people, and you deliberately control their calorie intake. The calorie intake for Gazan was 2,250 calories a day. So they measure these calories by the trucks they allow and the food they allow to go in, and they time it by the population, where they divide it, whatever they do, and it comes to 2,250 calories. When you do that, there's a problem with you, not with the Palestinians. You are evil people, man. You are evil.
When Hamas got in a brutal coup in 2006, what happened is they turned Gaza essentially into a military base. They filled it out with tunnels, 800 kilometers of tunnels. They built under hospitals, they built those tunnels, they built booby traps.
800 kilometer. Gaza is about 350 square miles. It's 25 miles long and 5 miles wide. How are you going to put 800 kilo or like what? 500, or is it in miles? 500 miles of tunnels. New York City subway doesn't have that much miles. It is idiotic that what we found out after October 7, that the Israelis are the dumbest liars in the world. And I was always wondering, they always say, oh, the writers for movies in Hollywood are all Jews, and they make these beautiful movies. And these idiots cannot even lie. Remember the 40 beheaded babies? They cut the woman's uteruses and took out the babies alive. They put babies in ovens. They hanged people on they had sex with dead bodies. They shot into women's vaginas. I have rabbis saying that. The lies were so outrageous that, no mind could say, well, that sounds a little true. And they continue to lie and lie. And the media, corporate media, the garbage that we have that lie to us, and please cancel. You don't need cable. Just get internet and just get your information from YouTube. Get your information from me, from anybody else, from all the crazies on YouTube, and don't go to the corporate media, please. Good. Pears.
Israel's war on Hamas continues unabated, and the IDF's conduct is facing intensifying scrutiny. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and sacked Defense Minister Yoav Gallant face ICC arrest warrants for war crimes. Reports by the New York Times and others accuse the IDF of habitually using captured Gazans as human shields. President Trump has assembled a stridently pro-Israel cabinet with little patience for his critics. Many supporters of the Palestinian cause fear that life beyond the war holds precious little cause for optimism, and that the very concept of a two-state solution may now be dead. To debate this, I'm joined in the studio by two of the strongest voices on this conflict, both with very opposite positions. Fleur Hassan,
what happened? Why did you repeat himself?
Envoy for Trade and Innovation, as well as a former Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem. Norman Finkelstein is a political scientist and pro-Palestine activist, author of the new book, Gaza's Gravediggers, an inquiry into corruption in high places. Well, welcome to both of you. I've never met either of you. I've interviewed you both several
times.
Why are we doing that?
My question was, where should
this Armageddon moment?
But that's not an answer to my question.
The answer is what happens now?
Wait, what happens to 1.9 million people who've been sent to refugee camps that have now been attacked as well? What happens to these people? A lot of their homes are just gone.
To be clear, the refugee camps, there are safe spaces where Hamas also infiltrate, and they put their own people. They use them as human shields, as we know, as has been reported, and they put their people in homes.
Where is their safe?
What happens now?
Fleur,
if you ask me where the light is...
Yeah, on that one point you just said, though, where are they supposed to go to be safe?
Well,
right now, where do Gazans go?
Mr. Finkelstein said that we're engaged in a genocide. If we were, why are we asking people to get out of the way?
Let me ask you again. Where can
why
they go?
are we giving warning? Why are we damaging our own element of surprise? Why are we doing that?
My question was, where should the Gazan civilians go to be safe?
The Gazan civilians today have an opportunity after Hamas
No, that's not my question.
That has subjugated them to rebuild their society.
That wasn't my question. My question is, where can they currently go to be safe?
to the safe spaces that Israel has assigned, where
Where?
Israel is
There
not
is no
attacking.
places.
Well, it depends where. At one point, they moved them from Rafah. They said it couldn't be done. You can't move 1 million
Yeah,
people. You did
see?
with absolutely almost zero
Bait and switch.
casualties. And so it can be done. You can move a population out of the way.
To where? There's no
Hamas is
houses, you
actively
fucking
putting them
idiot.
in the way.
There's
That
no
is what nobody
homes.
talks about.
But the other
double
argument,
war crime
but the other
of Hamas.
Yes, but the other argument is that Israel is indiscriminately attacking everywhere and then saying, you know what, Hamas are there. And because no journalists are allowed in to verify this, because the IDF won't let them, there is no independent way of verifying whether any of that is true.
If we were indiscriminately attacking, why are we asking people to get out of the way? Why are we creating safe zones? All of what he's saying,
bring
you
you in,
have
question,
to understand where Norman Finkelstein is in his head.
Oh, there she goes.
First
She's
of all,
going
he
to attack
doesn't believe
him
in
now.
the existence of the State of Israel,
See?
which is very difficult.
She's
Arguing
running
somebody
away
that doesn't
from the
believe it should
answer.
exist at all. Secondly, as a Jew, he's
think
got
we're
what
talking about your head.
as a Jew, let me finish my point and then you can
Talk
interrupt.
about my head.
As a Jew,
Talk about your head.
As a Jew, you know, Norman Finkelstein has got what I describe as the abused wife syndrome.
There we
The
go.
abused wife that stays with her abusive husband has to justify her staying in 3 ways. One is saying it's not all that bad, which is what he says
How
about
long will this
anti-Semitism.
monologue go
The
on?
second is saying, well, they didn't mean it. Anti-Semitism, they didn't really mean to target Jews. And the third way, which is he's actively engaging, is to saying, it's our fault. It's my fault. The wife that says, I
All right,
provoked
I'll come
him.
to Norman to
I
respond to that.
provoked him.
He's not
Before
making
I
any
come
And
fucking
this
sense.
is the abusive,
What do you say?
Okay,
abusive
you've made your point and he will
mindset
respond.
that he is in.
Okay.
The Israeli
Garbage.
Jew is the liberated Jew
That is
Okay.
a
that
garbage.
has left the abusive
Fine.
husband.
Before I go to Norman
What the
to
hell are
respond
you
to that,
talking
which I'm
about?
sure
Abusive
you'll want to.
husband. Maybe your husband beat
The
you
point
up.
that you were going to answer, and
What are
I
you
made you
talking
answer
about?
a different one because you raised it. But what happens at the end of this war?
See?
You want to know what I think should happen?
No, what is going to happen?
Well, I believe.
What's the plan?
I
What have
believe-
Israel got as planned?
Well, I believe that with Trump coming into power in the United States and with a Saudi deal on the table, which has been on the table, and this is one of the reasons that they started the massacre on October 7th
Yeah, I
to
think that's
begin
right.
with.
There we go.
They understood where the Iranians understood where this was all going. They deployed.
Remember, she will never answer the question. It is like, oh, you see this, you see that, you see this. It's all a distraction, these people. They lie more, you know, when they breathe, they lie more than they breathe. Every time they take a deep breath, they lie. I'm going to lie. I'm going to lie. This is what these people do. These people are liars, thieves, treacherous. They will do anything and everything to avoid honesty and truth.
Hamas, and they said this is the moment now. So I believe that there's a real opportunity for the Gazans, for the good Gazans who want a decent life for themselves and not living a life of
do what?
terrorism, to rebuild
How?
People what?
under the maybe civil
Holy shit.
administration of their own local
Where do they go and live
leaders,
when all their homes have been destroyed?
with their own local leaders, with Saudis, with Emiratis who know how to build quickly, who have the resources to build quickly. If we really have a consortium of countries like the Abraham Accord countries
All right,
that
but
can
still
get
under-
together and rebuild,
but still
there
under-
is an
They're
opportunity.
still under Israel control?
I don't think Israel should be controlling them.
So Israel would back off completely?
We have to retain security control so we don't
Right.
have enough
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
so
won't
we
have
put it
control.
back in
Okay.
but
jail.
not administrative
All right.
control.
Well, you just said you don't have
but
control.
eventually,
All right.
eventually we don't have to have any
You know what?
control.
Eventually it'd be really nice,
But
actually, if
Piers,
Israel had no
why did
control
we
of
live?
Palestine.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know, we don't want to control them, but we have to control the security. That means we got to surround them and put them in a jail. That's what it is. This is what it is. It's not going to work. It's going to blow up in their faces. Eventually, these idiots going to run on boats, banana boats, planes, just to get out of Israel one day. You're going to see it's going to collapse. This project is going to collapse. It cannot sustain itself, especially after they killed everybody like that, and you want to live in that neighborhood. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Why did we leave in 2005?
Okay, let me bring
Why
Norman.
did we leave in
I'll come back to you,
2005?
Fleur. I'll come back to you. Norman, your chance to respond.
Okay. Number one, totally trivial point. If I need psychoanalysis, I wouldn't go to a representative of a lunatic state. I would go to a rational person.
Love you. I love you, Norman.
Number two, Israel never left Gaza.
Right.
That's not my opinion. In 2005, Israel relocated its troops from inside Gaza to the periphery of Gaza. What goes into Gaza? What goes out of Gaza? Who goes into Gaza? Who goes out of Gaza?
Watch the
The
distraction.
airspace, the water, everything was controlled by Israel.
Yeah.
The guardian of the Fourth Geneva Convention is the International Committee of the Red Cross. The opinion of the Red Cross from 2006 to the present is that Israel remains the occupying power in Gaza. That's the opinion of the United Nations. It's the opinion of all human rights organizations.
I don't disagree with you about any of that, but let me ask you this, Norman.
So
straight question.
Now let me...
Straight question.
Factually
Hang
wrong.
on, let me...
Okay.
Hang on.
Factually wrong.
I actually don't disagree with your assessment, right? I do think Israel
You
has
don't want to
exercised
say it. That's a distraction
control
right there.
over the people of Gaza ever since they said they ceded control to it.
He was about to list the food. They're not allowed to have chocolate, candy, diapers, concrete, needles, threading needles. They were not allowed to have needles. And they always say, well, the Jews in Yemen were not allowed to have canes in their hand because it was, come on.
Government. But let me ask you one question before you finish your answer, which is this. Hamas. There can be no doubt that Hamas was given billions of dollars, a lot of it encouraged by Netanyahu, given billions of dollars, which they did, in fact, squander, which they did squander to the detriment of their people, which they did by building all these tunnels, right? And which they did in the end when they invaded Israel on October the 7th, they knew absolutely what would happen. And therefore, in that moment, they sentenced to death tens of thousands of their own people. Would you quibble with that?
And don't forget, their leaders are billionaires. Their leaders are billionaires.
I will actually, with all due respect, because I respect the facts, I'll quibble with everything you said. Number one, the money that went into Gaza, mostly from European countries and other international organizations, they monitored where the money went very carefully. They weren't about to endow Hamas. There's no evidence.
How did Hamas build all the tunnels?
I'll tell you.
Well, how did they afford to?
They don't have one penny of accountability.
I'll come to you.
I'll
come to you to respond.
Okay, allow me.
I will challenge both of you, but don't shout over each other.
No one penny of accountability. He's living in an alternate universe.
European governments and many of the international economic organizations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, UNCTAD, UN Conference for Trade and Development, they all put out on probably a quarterly basis very precise reports on Gaza. None, and I've read all the reports over 10 or 20 years now, 17 years, none of the reports have claimed that the catastrophe, the economic catastrophe in Gaza, has been caused by Hamas. None. Now, if you claim that you have more expertise in the subject than the IMF and the World Bank and UNCTAD, well, you can believe that. I personally don't believe that. The claim of all of these international respected organizations is the main source, the root cause of the catastrophe in Gaza prior to October 7th. The root cause has been the medieval blockade that Israel imposed on it, and which Human Rights Watch, just in November 2024, a month ago, Human Rights Watch described as, quote, a crime against humanity.
Okay, but how did
the problem.
Norman,
the problem is
how did Hamas afford to build all these tunnels?
You know,
like he knows.
I never quarrel with facts.
The money that Netanyahu got gave them.
He's going to tell you there's no tunnels in a minute, Piers.
Well, I think the amount of tunnels has been vastly exaggerated, but I'll admit I can't prove that.
Right.
I've talked to civil engineers in Gaza about the possibility Israel claims 450 miles of tunnels. I find that totally incredible.
But there are billions of dollars worth of tunnels. You accept that?
I don't know. I'm not a civil engineer.
He wants us to remain in power. That's
what I do
talking
know,
to here.
I'm perfectly willing to discuss. What I don't know, I'm not a civil engineer. I can't answer. What I can say is the following. Let's get back to the question of what's happened in Gaza. You said Israel is in a war with Hamas.
Yes.
So has the other guest in this room.
Yeah.
My name is Fleur.
Shut up, who cares? My name is
Fleur.
Fleur.
Let me ask you a simple question, okay? If you're at war with Gaza, why are you shooting children in the skull and in the chest?
That's
the New York Times published an article on that, came under a lot of flack because they published that article. They said we can't refute the evidence. We have the x-rays in front of us. They're shooting children in the head, in the skull, and in the chest. If you're engaged in the war in Gaza, Why are you killing journalists? Why are you killing medics? Why are you killing UN workers? If you're engaged in the war with Hamas, why is it that Human Rights Watch just this past week put out a report? They
Why
tell
are you
people
bulldozing
where to
cemeteries?
flee. They say go to the safe zones. Human Rights Watch says when the people are directed, they're being shot at the road.
But are you seriously saying no? But hang on.
When they get
Let me respond.
When they get to the safe areas,
I understand. I've already made that point.
Israel drops 2,000-pound bombs.
I've made that very point.
Does that sound like a war?
No,
or does that sound like a genocide? What does it sound like?
Well, it's interesting. Okay, let's get into that because it's an interesting part of the debate. It's horrendous that UN workers, journalists, children, women have all been killed. It's horrendous.
Targeted.
Well, okay.
Targeted.
They quibble with the word targeted. They say it's collateral damage as they've gone after terrorists.
When you shoot a child,
here's my question, Norman.
When you shoot
Norman,
a child
here's my
in
question.
the skull, that's
Norman,
not collateral damage.
Norman, can you tell me any war where innocent people have not been killed in large numbers?
I'm not talking about innocent people. This is not.
No, he's talking about Hamas terrorists.
This is not
Shut up, you evil hoe.
This is not even indiscriminate killing. This is very discriminate killing. It's indiscriminate bombing of the entire infrastructure.
If they wanted genocide, though, why don't they just kill everyone in Gaza?
There's a very simple answer.
Maybe you'd let me answer.
I'm going to come to that.
There's a very simple answer to that question, Piers, because I know you're not allowed to say it, but since I know the topic very well, take the case of the Nazis. The Nazis needed the cover of a war in order to carry out the final solution. Now, Hitler had plans earlier on, but it required a certain amount of cover, propaganda, and all sorts of other devices in order to carry it out. Gaza is in the news. It's very hard.
Do you believe Israel had a right to defend itself after October the 7th?
Actually, if you want to hear my full answer, I'm not giving you a yes or no.
What's the short answer?
My answer.
He doesn't have short answers.
That's correct.
Shut up.
I don't have short answers. I've said it to you before. In my opinion, Israel. Here, it's not my opinion. I'll quote Giora Eiland, the former head of Israel's National Security Council. Israel created, I'm quoting him now in 2004, he said Gaza is, quote, a huge concentration camp. Israel created a huge concentration camp in Gaza. Israel imposed a medieval blockade on Gaza, which has been characterized as a crime against humanity.
Yep.
Israel periodically went into Gaza on its high-tech killing sprees, what it called operations. I would say Israel created, I think I'm quoting now, the British economist called Gaza a toxic dump. Israel created a situation where you have children.
Yeah.
I understand. How old are your children?
From 31 down to 12. 13.
Okay, fine. Imagine if your child, you're a father, your child was born into what Giora Eiland called a concentration camp. Your child was left to languish in that concentration
It sounds
camp.
like you're working up a justification for October the 7th.
He's completely justifying October 7th. And maybe if you let somebody get a word in, I could explain where he's coming from.
Allow me to finish.
I do need to bring Fleur in, though.
I need your psychoanalysis.
This is not, yes, you do.
but
You need a psychologist.
She does need to respond.
I love lunatics.
This is one-on-one.
You see how she's attacking his mental capacity? She's not attacking his conversation. She's not attacking his accusations and facts about the behavior of the Zionist criminals in Gaza. She doesn't have nothing. So she's attacking him personally. Oh, he needs a psychiatrist. He's mentally unfit. This guy is, his brain is a computer. I mean, he probably wrote more than 100 books already.
Well, she probably thinks you're a lunatic too,
Okay,
to be fair.
fine. And by October 7th, as you recall, Gaza had disappeared from the international stage.
Yeah.
All the talk was about the Abraham Accords, whether Saudi Arabia. So your child was destined to be born into languishing and die in a concentration camp.
Yep.
Israel created those conditions.
So was it justified?
So
what
my
happened?
view is Israel forfeited its right of self-defense based on its criminal abuse of the population of Gaza for 20 years.
Okay, but so just to extrapolate that, it was just...
I'm very clear. There's no need for extrapolation. Israel forfeited its right to self-defense.
I was about to ask, does that mean then that what happened was justified?
Yes.
I will stick by my formulation. Israel forfeited its right to self-defense by having...
But what Hamas justified by your logic?
Was Hamas just...
The whole idea is that even Norman here, there needs to be an international investigation to the lies that the Israeli or the Zionist entity said. When they first said there were 1,400 killed, then they said there was only 1,150. That's about 240 people. You know why they said that? Because these were burned people in cars. When the whole objective was let me tell you what the objective was on October 7th. The objective on October 7th was to kidnap Israeli citizens, which I don't agree with, and soldiers, which I agree with, and then trade them for Palestinian prisoners. This was the whole thing, the whole shtick. Then the army, the Israeli army collapsed, and the Palestinians took over 22 towns with guns, and they took over like 12 military bases or complexes. They just collapsed. That's why the United States, the French, they sent troops, and they sent 2 carriers because they thought that Israel was going to collapse. So what happened is that the army came, the Israeli Apache helicopters. They didn't want to figure out. They have something called the Hannibal Doctrine. The Hannibal Doctrine is directive by Israel is you kill Israeli citizen. The Israelis kill their own citizen and their own soldiers and not let them be taken captive. Now, the objective of Hamas was to take them captive and trade them for Palestinian prisoners languishing in Israeli prisons for 10 years, 20 years. That was the whole objective of October 7th. There was no burned babies, there's no ovens, there's no nothing. As a matter of fact, the people who were doing the burning were the Israeli military and the Apache helicopters and the Hellfire missiles that we give them free. That's the only thing that was going on.
Justified if your children were in that situation, I suspect as a final resort, they might very well have done what happened.
So then, by his logic, there's 100 children in tunnels and dungeons in Gaza right now, taken, innocent people, not soldiers, taken hostage. If it was your child, then it justifies everything. By his very logic.
Shooting children
by
in the
his
skull.
very logic,
because
somebody takes away your children
let her
in
respond
the morning.
now.
We've heard enough.
Norman, let her
We've
respond.
heard enough
I gave
of
you
you,
a
Mr.
long
Finkelstein.
time.
First of all, let's just come back from Gotham.
Well, hang on. Your response to what? Because Norman's gone as far as I've heard him do, in effectively saying it was a justified attack, and Israel has no right to self-defense.
So of course he's going to say that because he doesn't believe Israel has a right to exist.
It doesn't.
He doesn't believe Israel has a right to exist. Would you let me answer my question? He doesn't believe that Israel has the right to exist.
Has he ever said that? Has he ever said that?
My question is this.
He just
you just said he said that.
If Israel doesn't have the right to self-defense, then it doesn't have the right to exist.
Fleur.
If Israel doesn't have the right to self-defense, it doesn't have a right to exist. He believes the whole of the country is a settlement.
Right.
He doesn't believe
it is a settlement.
You've said it, you've implied it, and we've had enough. If you let me answer the question now.
Yes, I agree. I'm letting you answer the question.
You know?
Where did I say Israel had no right to exist? Show me.
Can I answer
I've written
the question?
10 books.
I think you should answer it. You haven't said it as a fact.
If you believe that Israel doesn't have the right of self-defense, you are basically saying that Israel doesn't have the right to exist.
No, I never.
Yes, you do.
There's no connection.
So then we can exist, but we can't defend ourselves after people attack us. And let's just go back in history.
You can't defend yourself against concentration camps.
If he keeps interrupting me,
well, what about?
He's just had a 10-minute monologue.
No, I agree.
He's just had a 10-minute monologue. Give me a 5-minute monologue, okay?
Okay.
since the beginning of the establishment of the State of Israel, which he believes that we were the terrible people displacing people. Okay, we were also displaced.
True.
Jews were also displaced from Arab lands. And that's just what happened post-war, post-colonization of the world. So let's look. In 1947, there was a two-state solution proposed. The Jews said yes. The Arabs said no. It's not that they wanted a state. It's that they didn't want.
There are books by Ben Gurion. He said, we're going to accept the United Nations recommendation. It's not even a resolution. It was a recommendation of partition in Palestine, 56% for the Jews and 44% for the Arabs. Now, you have to take into consideration, in 1948, when the UN resolution came, or recommendation, the Jews only owned 6% of Palestine or private land. So imagine you only own 6% of land, but some political body in the West or in the United States gathered together and said they're going to give you 56% of their land. So what do you do if you own homes, you own farms, this is your land? They always say that this is only Zionist talk. Well, you know, the United Nations recommended 2 states and the Arabs refused. Of course they refuse. Where are they going to go? If you only own 6% of the land, who the hell has the right to give 45% of your land, private property? You understand what happened in 1948? But the Zionists always maintained they have to take 80%. They always knew that. And now they're going to take all. You know, we just have to agree because we don't have nothing. Then once we get our footing, then we just do whatever we want. You understand? They expand, and they took now almost 80% of the land. Yeah.
The Jews to have a state. So we declared a state in 1948. What happens? All the countries around us come to attack, to create a genocide. It was a miracle that Israel wasn't eliminated in that moment. Move forward, 1967. Those territories in which we were attacked, there was no Palestine, there was no Palestinians. It was Jordan and Egypt and Syria and Lebanon.
Another lie. What I'm telling you is the honest God truth. In 1967, nobody attacked Israel. Israel did a preemptive attack on all these Arab countries. They destroyed Egypt's air force because the planes were sitting on the airports and people are home because they had no intentions of war. They took that opportunity to expand and take over Jerusalem and the other land. You understand? But they'll say, well, Israel had to defend itself, and that it's always Israel has to defend itself. If a Zionist told you that, you stick your middle finger right in their face and just move on, because there's no reason to debate liars. See, oh, Israel was attacked by Jordan and Egypt.
That attacked Israel. If they would never have attacked Israel in 1967, that land would have remained Arab land. Okay, fast forward 1973. Another war that we didn't start. Now, do we not have the right to defend ourselves from destruction?
67.
We didn't start 1967. We didn't start 1973. We didn't start. Then we go and we say, we crumble onto hope. We hold on to hope. We say, let's do the Oslo.
Just Google.
We offered Arafat. And Clinton will say this himself.
He has said
everything they said they wanted. 97% of the West Bank, half of Jerusalem, the lot. And they said no, and they started a bloody intifada in the streets of my city that killed many, many innocent civilians, Jewish and Arab alike. Then we thought, let's try something else. In 2005, let's do unilateral withdrawal. That's what Sharon did. He said, maybe if we actually just leave, they'll have an opportunity. There was never a blockade. The blockade started when Hamas went into power, and they were bringing in, contrabanding missiles in which to attack Israel. That's when a country has to say, we need to defend ourselves. Now,
I'm going to tell you, Mrs. Fior or Mrs. Hassan, whatever your name is, I promise you that the Zionist project will collapse. It cannot sustain itself. As a matter of fact, the United States said it only had 3 weeks of weapons to defend itself. If the United States did not 24 hours a day bring in tanks, The United States is Hamas, and they're fighting the United States and Western Europe. They're not fighting these little kids from Israel who are scared to play Xbox. But I'm going to tell you, I'm so confident. Before this, I had a different view. I used to think, well, a one-state solution sounds good, because when I was seeing Israel settling a lot of their land in the West Bank and all these areas, so they settled, and I'm saying, well, where the Palestinians going to go? Now they have a problem. They have 7 million Palestinians. 5 million of them are under occupation. Then they were accused of being an apartheid state. I can't even pronounce that word. So the whole war in Gaza, this was an opportunity for them to get rid of the stigma of being an apartheid state. So they want to get rid of the population to Egypt. It hasn't worked. They destroyed. Now we don't know we don't know what the final solution is to the Palestinians right now, because Trump has because Trump has promised to give them the West Bank. So now you got to ask yourself, what are you going to do with the population in there? Because the whole objective of Zionism is land without people. And if there's people, we have to kill them or expel them from that land. Because Israel is an ethno state. You understand? It is only for the Jews. And they want to maintain that a majority. The problem is Zionism failed the two most important objectives of the Zionist movement for 120 years. Save Israel. Israel is not safe. Jews are not safe in Israel. Missiles and rockets are heading there every day. As a matter of fact, the more we move on, the more they get sophisticated. 20 years ago, no one had a rocket that'll go into Israel. And the second objective was to remain the majority in Israel, to get rid of the Palestinians. But if you did a census right now, from the river to the sea, you will find out God just split them in half. There are 7.3 million Jews, and I think they are less, but they just say, but we know for sure there are 7.3 million Arabs or Palestinians, because they're not allowed to leave. The majority of the Israelis have ran to Europe. That's why they did the Amsterdam bullshit, anti-Semitism. They sent those hoodlums or hooligans, and they were chasing them around Amsterdam. That was the whole objective, was to scare Jews from going to Europe, Israelis from moving to Europe. Look, they're attacking our football fans. What are they going to do to you if you go to Europe? It's always a game. Everything that happens is always an objective behind it. You understand? Now I can't even see what the hell it is. Go. You know, I hate the StreamYard. A lot of people use OPS, and then this idiotic thing. There you go. Okay.
If there's a blockade, don't they have a border with Egypt? Why don't you say a word about Egypt? There's no blockade when it's 3 walls. Where's the 4th wall?
She knows that Egypt was ordered not to open its border to Israel. Egypt gets $1.6 billion a year from the United States every year. And they don't want to jeopardize it. They got the order, you keep that wall closed. But she will stand there and just lie. You understand?
Egypt. What happened to Egypt? Didn't they have tunnels going in and out of Egypt? In fact, it was Egypt that had a much harsher border than Israel. We had 20,000 people coming into work.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
So what concentration camp has, tell me something, what concentration camp has a country club? What concentration camp has a country club?
No, I have a different question.
Giora Island.
God concentration. Yes, Giora Island thinks we should keep northern Gaza. That's what he thinks. So now you're quoting him?
Why did Giora Island call it a huge concentration camp? Why? 2004.
I don't speak for him.
Hey, you could just Google
2004.
it. Yes.
We left in 2005.
Right. He called Gaza in 2004 a huge concentration camp.
Let me ask you, Flirt.
So we left in 2004.
Let me ask you.
We never left.
We left in
your imagination. You left.
Keep your
in your imagination, you left.
So you understand?
According to the International Committee of the Red Cross, you didn't leave.
Yes, we know how neutral they are.
According to Human Rights Watch, you didn't leave.
We know how neutral.
This is what she wants, this argument the more they argue and talk over each other, the more that she passes more time. She gets those points, those under the belt punches, and she gets and it gives her the opportunity and the shield not to answer hard question or debate real issues. This is what it is. It's called distraction. Distraction by any means necessary.
According to Amnesty International,
we know how neutral.
Everybody's an anti-Semite.
No, but a lot of people. No.
Blood libel. Blood libel.
I want to just
I don't even know what blood libel is.
Let me just get a timeout. No, I want to ask you a question, which is this. There can be no doubt that even if Israel says we unilaterally pulled out in 2005 and withdrew troops and so on to the border or whatever, there's no doubt that Israel continued to exercise a form of occupying control. And we saw that very clearly after October the 7th, when Israel was, at the flick of a switch, able to turn off the supplies of water, of electricity.
Why didn't they develop their own water?
No, but here's my question for you.
Why didn't they use the money to develop their own electricity?
Here's my question for you.
Why?
Here's my question for you. Given that Israel had that power, you can dispute the word occupation, but they had a control over the people of Gaza, the Palestinians, which I don't think they should have had. What gives Israel the right to exercise that kind of power over the people of Gaza?
Nobody.
It wasn't over the people of Gaza. It
Well,
was
it
a
was.
terrorist entity that has in its foundational charter the destruction of the whole of
least
Israel. And
you gave them control.
At least
No,
now
we didn't
we
give them
agree
control. We gave the Palestinian Authority control.
Are you saying all Gazans are Hamas?
No, we gave the Palestinian Authority control. And then the year later, they had elections pushed by the American government at the time. And then Hamas won that election and then took over in a brutal coup, which, by the way, do you know how many of the PA they killed? This is their own civil war going on.
Listen, I think
And
Hamas,
that's also Israel's
I think
fault.
Hamas are a despicable...
Everything is
Listen,
Israel's fault.
Blair?
You are basically practicing the bigotry of low expectation
Let me-
for the Gazans and the Palestinians.
All right, let me-
He's saying
okay.
that the Palestinian leadership has no responsibility.
Hamas is a brutal-
Zero responsibility.
okay, listen.
Hamas is a brutal terrorist organization.
Yes,
Okay?
it is.
So that explains why Israel prohibited chocolate from entering Gaza. That's why Israel prohibited baby chicks
But I don't agree with any
from
of this.
Gaza.
I agree
Please,
with you.
distraction. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that.
It's wrong.
Twisting the reality.
Israel-
Actually, that is the reality.
It's not.
Israel was doing that.
It's
Israel
not
produced
pears.
such
They
a
were
long-
restricting
such-
building materials
Israel-
that they knew they were using.
It wasn't all they were restricting. Let me ask you, listen, I want to bring things forward.
Pears, we
Hang on.
finally agree on more than we disagree. I'm glad about
Listen,
that.
you'd be surprised. Honestly, I have a lot of sympathy for the plight of the Palestinians, and I have
Yes.
sympathy
So do
for
I.
Israel to what happened on
I
October
have
No,
a
you
7th.
lot of
don't.
sympathy
No, you
for the
don't.
Palestinians
Let me-
because they've always had terrible leadership.
Fine. Let me.
do I.
You know what I think? Palestinians should be
I.
entitled to the exact same human rights as you
They should
and
be
me.
entitled to their own
And they're not.
self-determination.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but you don't
why
want to give
didn't
it to
they
them.
do that? Why didn't they take one of the pieces
I
that was
agree with-
offered?
I-
Why did they not
Blair-
self-determine?
Every peace agreement that Israel gave them was flawed. You know, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, Bill Clinton almost got him a state," and Bill Clinton will go on TV and say, "Oh, and Hillary Clinton just, you know, they're 70 years old. Oh, we did every kind, and Arafat just walked away." As a matter of fact, the prime minister, the Israeli prime minister, who was negotiating a deal with Ehud Barak, wrote in his memo before he died, "If I was a Palestinian, I would never accepted the offer that we gave them." These Zionists are honest sometimes before they die. If I was the Palestinian that died at that time in Camp David, and I was offered what Barak with Barak, what's his name? Ehud Barak and President Clinton were offering Yasser Arafat, I would never accept it if I was a Palestinian. So this is all hocus pocus. We offered them a peace treaty, but they don't want. They don't want. Netanyahu just came out about a year ago. He said, I did everything I could to derail the Oslo agreement, and I prevented the two-state solution. The guy is saying it out loud. They're not even hiding it no more.
I agree.
Do you know why?
I agree.
Piers?
I agree.
Do you know why, Piers?
May I answer
Because
that
they've
question?
never
My view?
taken
May I answer that?
responsibility.
Yes, but
because the
okay,
whole world,
so talking for a moment,
the whole
Fleur.
world has taken
Fleur,
all
my view
responsibility
is
away
this.
from the leadership.
My view is a bigger view, which is that right behind all this is Iran.
Absolutely.
That Iran's tentacles have
Absolutely.
been fueling Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, and
Absolutely.
that is the core problem in the region.
may-
In Norman
Okay.
Finkelstein world, Islamism is not a problem. Political Islam is
let
not a
Norman
problem.
respond now.
In his world, that's not a problem.
It's a very simple answer. There are called 4 or 5 final status questions bearing on resolving the conflict.
Yeah.
Jerusalem, settlements, borders, refugees. Those are the main issues. Under international law, the settlements are illegal. Each and every one. I noticed yesterday when I was watching your latest program, you referred to the building of new settlements as being appalling. No, under international law, confirmed in the July decision of the International Court of Justice, all the settlements are illegal. Under the plans that Ehud Barak offered in the year 2000, and then later under Ehud Olmert, Israel wanted to keep 80% of the settlements in place. It wanted to keep all the settlement blocks in place. The question of borders, Israel's position has been, excuse me, it will not return to the June 1967 border. That's in breach of international law. Okay. Israel says it will not leave East Jerusalem. East Jerusalem is occupied Palestinian territory. It belongs to the Palestinian people. Very simple, very simple. I hope everybody will listen.
Who are we occupying Jerusalem
okay.
from? It was Jordanian before
Okay.
67.
I'm not interested
No,
in
you're
your
talking
opinion.
about law.
Yes,
He's wrong
exactly.
in law.
That's
But you
why-
cannot dispute
It
on that.
was
Hang on,
48.
Fleur, hang on.
48 to
International Court of
67.
Justice.
There's
Hang on.
never been Palestinian.
Okay.
Do you dispute?
land.
Okay, on one
I
point,
dispute it
Fleur,
on
Fleur,
everything.
we can argue about the
Yes.
hang on, we can argue about the history of the settlements. Okay,
Yeah.
What I don't think anyone can argue, Israeli or Palestinian, since the start of this war on October the 7th, 8th, is that the aggressive expansion of settlements on the West Bank by Israelis since the start of this war, in my estimation, has not just been outrageous. I think it actually constitutes an indisputable war crime. What are they doing?
Do you know? Have you ever read Oslo?
I'm
No.
very aware
Okay,
of it.
So let me
I've
tell
actually
you.
interviewed.
So let me tell you what Oslo.
Why are you assuming
was-
things?
I'm
I ask you
asking
questions.
you. I'm asking you a question because when you talk about it, you don't understand what was actually.
I-
advanced.
I've literally,
understand.
sorry,
Now-
sorry.
I think he understands.
I've
Let me-
literally specifically asked you about
I'm going to answer.
the aggressive expansion of settlements since October the 7th. It is indefensible, it is illegal, and in my estimation, it is a war crime. Now, we
is
know
no-
that's happening
there's no
because we
war
can see
crime.
it. We can
There's
see
no
it.
occupation.
What we can't see in Gaza
It is
is anything
all-
because the journalists aren't allowed in.
There's no. Yes, and if the
Remember-
journalists were allowed in
remember-
and they got killed, you'd say Israel's killing journalists.
I
So you
see.
can't win, can you?
What do you think of the
you
aggressive
hear what she
expansion
said?
of settlements
Did you hear-
on the West Bank since the war started?
They're killing the journalists. And she said, oh, if we let the journalists, they get killed. We said, we can't win. Because if they go in, we're going to kill them. And if we don't let them in, you guys get mad. So what are we going to do? Did you hear what she just said? These people are fucking animals, man. These people are criminal, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. These are not, man. These are not godly people, man. The
I
Zionists.
reject the premise of that, and I'll
The
tell you why.
premise.
You think it's
Get the
fine?
Let me
fuck
ask you a
out of here
question.
Do you
with your
support
premise.
the expansion?
said-
I've had Jewish
I've
guests
asked-
who have
She said
condemned
there's
it.
no
I've asked-
occupation.
There's no occupation.
She said there's no
because a
occupation.
beginning-
Do you think these expansions are fine?
I want to answer the
Are
question.
they justified?
I want to answer the
Well, yes or
question.
no?
Oslo.
Give me a yes or no.
Split.
I'm not interested in Oslo.
Oslo split. No, because
I'm
the whole premise of
I'm
the
asking you a simple question, Fleur.
You,
Has the expansion of settlements in the West Bank since the start of this war been justified, yes or no?
94%
Yes or no?
of Palestinians
Yes or
She's
no?
not
are
going to
living under
answer
their own
it.
Yes or
authority.
no, Fleur?
In Judea
Yes or
and
no?
Samaria.
Is it justified?
What do you mean?
Is it justified?
Of course, we're justified. We are building communities. There are communities
You're
in Judea and
forcing
Samaria.
people out of their homes
Nobody's been forced out of their
illegally.
homes. Have you ever looked at Area C?
International law says
How do
you're
you build
breaking the law.
community in people's
There's no
land?
homes. There's desert. It's the Judean desert where there's settlements.
It's very interesting because, okay, let me come back to Norman.
What are you
Let
talking
me come
about?
back to
Do you
Norman.
think people are
wanted
getting
to say-
kicked out of
You know
houses?
what,
Okay.
Norman? Here's my thing for you, which
Yeah.
you're going to probably like me saying this, because I've had guests from the Israeli side, And when I've had that very point, that question, they have actually very quickly said, I think it's wrong. Right? And I respect that completely. I got to say, Fleur, your total refusal to
She's
accept
an animal. She's a criminal. Look at that face.
October 7th of the West Bank.
Unfuckable.
I just find it outrageous.
Why was there terrorism before 1967?
I'm not going back to
if
67.
all of, no, I am.
Yeah, there was terrorism in the 1930s by the Jewish terrorist group. All of them. There were like 5, 6 groups. Ogaran, I don't know. Look it up. They're the one who introduced terrorism into the Middle East. The Arabs didn't even know what terrorism was. We didn't know what it was. We didn't even know what nationalism was. Arabs did not know what nationalism was until the West came and said, well, you're different. You're an Arab, and those are Turks. You got to fight the Turks. And we've been living 800 years under the Ottoman Empire, free to do what we want. As a matter of fact, the Turk came to our country, and they took our culture, our alphabet, our majority of everything we do. We actually occupied them. They never forced their language on us. Every land had its own language. Even the Jews, they prospered under the Ottoman Empire because we didn't have nationalism in Arabia. We didn't know what nationalism was until the British came. And we didn't know what terrorism was until the Jewish terrorist group of the 1930s, Argothon, whatever the name, they become prime ministers, the leaders of these terrorist organizations. We didn't know what that is until they came and did it. All of a sudden, we're terrorists. We want our freedom.
Because you're talking about territory that
These
was
settlements expansions in the last 15
you're
months have
talking
been
about
totally wrong.
territory that was legitimately
Zionists cannot win an argument with their liars.
Didn't start
All right.
in 67.
All right.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that when somebody aggressively starts a war, they should never pay a price for that?
No, but I think you should be honest about what the
They
price...
should never pay a price?
You should be... no, of course they should.
Should they? So what's the price they should pay?
That's the
For
question
having
I've been
attacked?
asking for the last year.
Jordan attacked
That's the question
Israel.
I've been asking for the last
territory
year.
was Jordanian. And let me
All right.
tell you something.
Jordan
After
never
the war, they
attacked
said,
it.
keep
Jordan,
fine.
the king of Jordan was a puppet of the Israeli government from the 1940s. King Hussein, his grandfather, they're all fucking puppets. They never attacked. Nobody attacked Israel. 1967, Israel attacked. 1948, Israel attacked. 1956, nobody knows about this war. When Israel took it upon itself to join France and England to attack Egypt, nobody knows. Because Israel is the outpost of the colonizers. Imagine when this happened, the crisis started in October. France sent a hospital ship for Israelis and Jews. And when they asked them why, when it was discovered, we sent it for people in Gaza. Not even one patient have entered this ship. Everything is a lie. That's why, man, people don't believe the hype. Remember the rabbi said, don't believe the hype. It's all hype. The media are liars. The politicians are liars. Those fucking pundits that come on TV, who comes on CNN and MSNBC. Some of them, you see them so much on these shows. It's like they sleep under the tables of these anchors whose opinion is not honest and truth. The ADL, AIPAC tells the news organizations what to do. They shut down universities. When the kids started protesting against the war, they demonized them and said they were abusing Jews. They were bullying Jewish students. But the truth was, Jewish students were the leaders of these protests. Then they paid these goons in California to attack students in their camps. Jerry Seinfeld, that fucking idiot who has never told a joke that anybody could laugh, his wife actually was paying these groups to go attack these students. We know that, the police know that, the FBI know that, the US government know that, but nobody even uttered a word. Why? Why are the Arab countries quiet? Why? Why are all the Muslim countries, 57, quiet? Why? Why is Western Europe? There's something we don't know. Maybe there's something powerful and stronger than we know. There's a big hammer that's over these people's heads. Imagine Rachel Maddow, that you know who she is, who drove us crazy. Russia. For 4 years, the last time Trump was president, and it was all a lie. Told the network that it is unnecessary to put photos of dead children in our newscast because we don't want to hurt I don't know some what the word was. They don't want the audience to be subjected to such photos. Now the reason was we have to run cover for Israel. We have to hide the dead bodies, the dead women, the dead old people under the goose that we're not going to put anybody there because we don't want to show this kind of gruesome on our channel. And these are called news organizations. Nothing. Good.
I'm going to Norman for a response. Here's the thing, Norman. We agree about more than you may realise, and I do with you as well in certain areas, and disagree in others, right? So I don't come at this from an ideological, I'm with one side or the other. But I do find anyone who attempts to defend the expansion of settlements in the way that we've seen, I just think they're so far one-sided, they can't see the wood for the trees out there. My big issue with Gaza is not that your characterisation is necessarily wrong. It's that we, as Western media, don't know because we're not allowed in there. And my big problem with the IDF, and I'll get a response from you, Fleur, on this, is the IDF's refusal to let independent Western journalists in to verify what they're doing and to report fairly and freely, I think is very telling and increasingly damning.
Okay, Piers, I listened to you yesterday's program when you had Katie Halper on and Alan Dershowitz and John Kornakis and Matt Kennard. Yeah. And that point you made yesterday, which you're reiterating today, I'd like to address it very directly. Yeah. You say the problem is that Israel is, or a problem is that Israel isn't admitting journalists. Yeah. And you correctly said it's fair for a fair-minded person to infer from that fact.
Yeah, so they're hiding something.
They're excellent. Yeah. They're hiding something.
No question.
But that's only half the picture. The other half of the picture, which I hope your listeners will pay attention to, the other half of the picture is this. Since Israel imposed the blockade on Gaza, it's been a basket case, an economic basket case. And all these international organizations have had to come in. Save the Children, World Food Program, CARE, UNESCO, UNICEF. Yeah. They all have field operations there. They all know the lay of the land. They're all still there since October 7th. Now, when South Africa submitted its application to the International Court of Justice alleging that Israel was in breach of the Genocide Convention, who did it cite? It cited all of these organizations. Yep. It would be better if we had journalists there, but really at this point, journalistic coverage would be superfluous. We have all the respect.
Well, it's never superfluous.
Okay, I will say superfluous meaning we have all of these international respected organizations, many of them headed by Americans, like Agency for International Development.
I get your point.
When they all charge that Israel is using starvation.
We're running low on time.
I just want to respond to that a second.
That Israel is using starvation as a
Norman,
weapon.
we have about 8 minutes left.
I just want to answer that.
Fleur.
The Special Advisor for Prevention of Genocide yesterday for the UN was sacked. Why? Because she said that what's happening in Gaza did not meet the definition of.
She's an advisor, and she's lying.
Genocide. Yeah. This is the Special Advisor for Prevention of Genocide. Yeah. What he is talking about is a blood libel that Jews have suffered.
I hate when they say blood libel. Everything you're losing the.
And what's happening today is that the little blood libel that used to be, oh, Jews are killing Christian children for making the bread, and all of that today as the collective country, the Jewish country. Now today we face the same blood libels, but in big. Okay. That's exactly what's happening.
We have a few minutes.
Genocide is a blood libel. Apartheid is a blood libel. Everything this man talks about is a blood libel. And he's having his 5 minutes in the sun because today it's trendy to hate Israel and hate Jews.
Everything is a blood libel. Everything is anti-Semitism. You hate the Jews. How about you stop killing children? How about we start there, huh? How about you stop building your homes in people's land? How about that? How about you stop having these seminars in synagogues in the United States selling plots of land that you haven't taken yet? How about we start there? How about we start there, huh? Then we'll figure everything out.
But it'll be over because we've
Fleur,
survived worse than this.
I think to interrupt you. I want to ask Norman just about Donald Trump. He's the new president of the United States. He's packed his cabinet with very pro-Israeli people. Yep. That's no great secret. He makes no secret of being very pro-Israeli. What does that mean, do you think, for this war? I mean, on one level, it may bring an end to the war faster, which would be a good thing for everybody. But what does it mean going forward? I mean, my big argument with Israel, I've seen no coherent plan for life after the war. And I've been very cynical about Netanyahu, that he's facing corruption charges the moment this is over. He's also, there's a big report out today from Israel, holding his government to account for the failures of allowing October the 7th to happen on their watch. There'll be accountability for that. There's no great incentive for him to end this, but Trump may want him to end it quickly, I suspect. But what happens then? I mean, let's just be big picture here. What is going to happen, do you think?
Well, I hate to be a bearer of bad news. And I've been criticized on that score by people who normally I would count as my allies. But as I said, I think Gaza is no more.
Just gone. What will happen to the people?
I think by hook or by crook, they're going to have to figure out a way to leave.
Well, they'll go into neighboring Arab countries.
Oh, they won't accept them.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Nobody's accepting.
But as you know, Piers, in the
they don't want to leave their land.
Right now,
that's why your ass left Europe.
2.5 million Syrians in Turkey. There are about 1.5 million Syrians in Lebanon. There are large population movements. I don't want to go into that area, first of all, because it's speculative. And second of all, it seems to me it's a distraction from what we should be focusing on now. And what we should be focusing on now is what happened, who is accountable for it, because that's one part of historical justice.
Before I go to Fleur for response, just very quickly, because we are literally into the last 5 minutes now, should Hamas have any form of power in any government after
Watch
this?
the answer, the smart answer.
Here's,
Watch.
I've answered that question to you before, but I'll answer it again. I will be succinct. If Hamas, by killing 1,200 people on October 7th, disqualified itself from participating in any future in the resolution of the conflict, then Israel, by a factor of maybe 20 times more,
40,000
has
people
disqualified itself. And we have to add, it's
My
not
job.
just the state of Israel, it's the entire population of Israel, which gets more and more enthusiastic and relishes more and more each time a massacre unfolds in Gaza.
But we also saw hang on that. We also saw scenes of widespread jubilation when the hostages were dragged through the streets in Gaza from a lot of Palestinians. The idea that it's just Hamas members who have a view of an anti-Jewish sentiment. We saw it with our own eyes.
He is assigning a cult of death to the wrong side. He is assigning a cult of death to Israel. Israel is a cult of life.
Let me ask you a question.
Israel is.
Let me ask you, Fleur.
I have 4 children.
Let me ask you.
I have 4 children,
Yeah.
and they come home singing songs. One day we'll have peace. And you know what they teach them in the Palestinian? Let me finish. The very rude. He's not let me answer
They also
any
sing death
question.
to the Arabs.
That's not true.
Even when
You
they
do not live in Israel. You have not
when
been
they
to
go to
Israel,
Amsterdam,
and I don't know how
You know
long.
what
they
Jews
sing
is doing
death to the
Israel?
Arabs.
He's wrong.
Even in
Israel-
Amsterdam, they sing death to the Arabs.
Thank you. Watch. That's what they do when they have like sports. Death to the Arabs. Now they have a new anthem. There are no more schools in Gaza because all the children are dead. There are no more schools in Gaza. They say it in Hebrew. Because all the children dead. Death to the Arabs. That's what they do. This is the anthem when when they go to a sport and watch soccer. But
In fact, even in Amsterdam, they sang, you know why there are no
Again,
more schools
the abused
in Gaza?
wife, he's justifying
because there are
the
no
pogrom.
more children in
The
Gaza.
abused wife is
That's what they
justifying
were
a
chanting
pogrom.
Everything
in
is a pogrom.
Amsterdam.
He's justifying the pogrom, the
cult
abused
of
wife.
life. Yes.
Abused wife
Israel-
syndrome.
Israel
Justifying the
has-
pogrom.
Israel has a cult of life for Jews.
That's not true.
L'chaim.
And the 20%
And
of
death to all the
Arabs who live, and 20%
And
of
death to
Arab
all the
citizens
Arabs.
that live in peace in Israel, that prosper in Israel,
Cult of
that
life.
are in every single strata of society in Israel. You know who the best educated people in Israel are?
Christian women.
Christian Arab women. And that's Israel. We celebrate diversity. Everybody gets opportunities, including our Muslim, our Druze, and our Christian population. He is living in a world that doesn't exist and is assigning everything that is wrong with Hamas to... Now, let me just finish with something. This is Israel Khania, who we killed, thankfully, a billionaire. The guy who obviously followed the accounting of Hamas, yes. The blood of women, children, and elderly, we're the ones that need this blood. So it awakens within us the revolutionary spirit. This is the guy who stole billions from his own people and lived like a king in Doha. Now, I think what both of you get wrong
this is all
this
bad
is
Hasbro. This is all lies.
Conflict. This is an ideological conflict because Hamas don't want a two-state solution. And unfortunately, the PA have rejected every two-state solution proposed
so what happens at the end of this
1947.
war? So what happens at the end of the war?
There is no territorial solution because this is not a territorial
So what will
conflict.
happen?
I pray that the Abraham Accords and that the wider peace in the region will bring the Palestinians to the point that they understand that the only way forward is to negotiate with Israel. Not to go this way or that way, and not to kill Israelis, but to negotiate with Israel. Israel is a country that I'm so proud of my country. 1948, nobody gave us anything. We've been fighting wars incessantly. We've built a technological superpower. We are curing cancer. We are curing climate issues.
You know what we need a cure for?
Well, we have more Nobel Prizes per capita than anybody else, including Arab Israelis.
You know what we need a cure for?
Prosper in
You know what we need a cure for?
Killing Arab children.
We need a cure. No, we need a cure for a 75-year conflict.
We do.
And you know what? I'm reminded again of a conflict in Northern Ireland between implacable enemies who killed each other for many decades, and they eventually got leaders who were able to barrel through all that and reach peace. That's what we need.
I was deputy mayor of Jerusalem for 6 years.
Yeah, deputy mayor. She didn't even those Christians.
Between the 40% Muslim population and the Jewish population.
I've got to leave it there.
And they have prospered
I have to leave it there. Fleur and Norman, thank you. Listen, I appreciate you coming together. I know it's passionate views on both sides, but I do appreciate you agreeing to do this debate.
They'd be mad as hornets, and if we ever got into a crisis, it would be a disaster. Now
they got the wrong things. Yeah, got the wrong video. I got one more small video. Let's watch it. This is low key. We're supposed to start in the beginning, but we lost the sound. Let's see if it works. If not, we're gonna go. We're gonna leave. My allergies are kicking. If you want to stop my nose, no. Hate my nose.
Has assembled the most pro-Israel cabinet in the history of the United States. I've investigated his funders. It's not looking good. Donald Trump will repeat the mantra.
America first. America first. America first.
But when you look down his list of funders, it seems like it might just be Israel first. Donald Trump selected Pete Hegseth as his Secretary of Defense. Pete Hegseth called for Trump to bomb Iranian energy and nuclear facilities.
What better time than now to say, we're starting the clock. You've got a week. You've got X amount of time before we start taking out your energy production facilities. We take out key infrastructure. We take out your missile sites. We take out nuclear developments.
That is
we take out
a popular idea.
Capabilities.
And here Hegseth is advocating for Israel replacing Al-Aqsa with what he calls the Third Temple.
1948 was a miracle. 1967 was a miracle. 2017.
I think we have an issue with anyway, I don't know what happened. Anyway, I think we gotta have to let this go. We gotta let this go.
Ukraine.
Yeah, I don't want to. I got tired. All right, everybody. We had a good day. We had a good show. I had other stuff to watch, but I'm a tired guy, man. My body just can't handle a lot of things. Anyway, I appreciate you for being here. We saw the show. We should understand that Zionists are not interested in peace. They're only interested in land and expulsion. You either die or leave. This is what's going on in Gaza. And the bad thing about it is we're all complicit in way or another. The United States is a partner in the genocide. And when you start having terrorism against the United States and overseas in the future, and everybody asks the reason why, this is the reason why, because we're not able to to say no to Israel and say no to genocide and the mass murder of these people, children. So we are complicit. Our weapons are there. They're using our planes. They're using our bombs. They're using our missiles. They're using our rockets. They've been using our media against the Palestinians. It's unbelievable what's going on. Anyway, guys, God bless you all. Thank you for watching this channel, man. شكرا للعرب اللي يفرقوا. So in Arabic, I say thanks to the people, the Arab people who are watching. They will write in Arabic because I have 2.7 dead followers. Not even one of them bothered to put a like or comment, and I don't know what they're doing, man. It's strange, Strangers in the morning, strangers at night. Da, 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 da. Anyway, guys, I love you all. Yeah, I love you all, man. Goodbye. I'm gonna put this.
Yeah, bitch so bad I wanna shoot like hoops while I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want, it ain't nothing but a loop. Don't listen to friends, they don't know what's best for you. I want you, yeah, bad I wanna shoot like hoops while I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want, it ain't nothing but a loop. Don't listen to friends.